morning, students. I'm Meenakshi from Rohini College of Engineering and Technology. Today, I'm going to teach the topic User Authentication in the course Network Security. So, usually, what is user authentication means? It is a fundamental building block and it is the primary line of defense in most of the computer security context, and it is the basis for most type of access control and for user accountability. And this user authentication is defined in the standard RFC 4949. So what is remote user authentication principles? So first, what is authentication? I told it is the process of verifying an identity, that is with whom we are communicating. So we are claiming that person. Okay, we are claiming that person is the authenticated one. So that process is called as authentication, or we may verify a system entity also. So usually the authentication process consists of two steps. One is identification step, the other one is verification step. So what is identification step? So identification step, here we are presenting the identifier to the security system. In the verification step, we are comparing the entities, or we are presenting or generating authentication information. So by that authentication information, we verifies the binding between the entity and the identifier. So this is called as verification step. So usually we have two steps in authentication process. One is identification step, the other one is verification step. So means of communication. So we have four means of communication by which we can perform the user authentication. So they are something the individual knows, something the individual possesses, something the individual is, something the individual does. So something the individual knows. So that is the person may know his password, his PIN number, or he may answer some set of questions like a date of birth, favorite color, first school, etc. etc. So something the individual possesses, that is he may possess his ID card, or he may possess he may have he is having his smart card, or he may have physical keys. So and they are referred as the token. So through these cards, so we can authenticate the users. Then third one is something the individual is. So that is, we can use the user's fingerprint, retina, face. So using them we can perform the authentication. The fourth one is something the individual does. So that is, we may go with the voice pattern, handwriting characteristics, or typing rhythm, etc. So we may use these types either in a separate process, or you may combine one or two authentication methods. So if you combine the factors, so it is known as a multi-factor authentication. That is, you may combine the PIN number and the fingerprint, or you may combine the ID card and the fingerprint, etc. So usually for the network based authentication, so normally we use the methods cryptographic keys and something the individual knows. So for example, it may be the password. So we have two types of authentication. One is mutual authentication and the other one is one-way authentication. So mutual authentication, so as the name implies, so here both the communicating parties must satisfy themselves mutually. Okay, they have to mutually authenticate themselves about each other's identity, and to exchange the session keys. So here we are facing two problems. One is timeliness and confidentiality. So timeliness involves replay threads, and with the help of the replay thread, the opponent can compromise the session key, or he can successfully impersonate another party. So another one issue is confidentiality. So we have to encrypt the content, you have to encrypt the session key information, identification. Okay, then only you have to communicate with the other party. So it requires that we must know the secret or public keys in advance that can be used for this purpose. So mutual authentication involves two issues. One is the timeliness and the other one is confidentiality. So replay attack. So we may divide the replay attack into four types. The first one is simplest replay attack. That is, the opponent simply copies the message and replays the message at a later time. Second one is time-stamped message. So the opponent can replay a time-stamped message within the valid time window. The third one is the opponent can replay the time-stamped message within the time window, but in addition, he may suppress the original messages. Okay, that is, the repetition cannot be detected by the parties. The fourth one involves backward replay without modification. So they are the several types of replay attack. So how we can overcome this replay attack? So either we can use the sequence number, or we go with the timestamps, or we go with challenge or response scheme, or we may go with a binding operation. So they are the several methods for overcoming the replay attack. So next one is one-way authentication. So as the name implies, so one-way authentication involves authentication from one side. So one of the example application is email. So the header of the email message must be in a clear form so that the message can be handled by store and forward email protocol. So the example protocols are SMTP or X.400. So you can encrypt the email message, and a second requirement is that of authentication. The recipient wants some assurance that the message is coming from the correct sender, that is, the message is coming from the authenticated person. So that's about the user authentication general principles. So thank you all.